Huffington Post has been kicked out. We know that the Associated Press has been kicked out. And now the Washington Post is not going to allow for op-eds in any way if for some reason they criticize the sitting president of the United States. What this is starting to feel like is a smaller version of Russia.
In today's video, Jasmine Crockett absolutely destroys the Republican Party and their pathetic defense of Donald Trump in the recent House hearing. It was honestly embarrassing to watch Republicans, especially the chairman, to try to spin reality in Trump's favor, only for Crockett to come in and completely dismantle their nonsense with actual facts. So let's dive in and watch how Jasmine Crockett silences the GOP in this video.
And I am trying to tell you that we are nothing like Russia. We are not supposed to be like Russia, but that is what we've got going on. And I'm sorry, I know that some of my colleagues still struggle with answering the question of who won the election in 2020. And you may have felt a way when you had social media checking people and saying, no, Trump did not win the election in 2020. That is absolutely factual. And unfortunately, because some people got all riled up because they believed the lies, they ended up getting locked up because they decided that they were going to believe the lies. They ended up at the Capitol on January 6th, and they were trying to tear this thing apart because they felt like their country was falling apart in front of their eyes because for whatever reason, there were people in power that were peddling a lie about the election. We also know, and some of y'all may still say that COVID was a hoax. COVID wasn't a hoax. Tell that to the over 1 million people that died under Donald Trump's first watch. It wasn't a hoax. So no, I do believe that it was okay. In fact, I do believe that it was ethically right for social media to check people because you had people that didn't know anything about science and decided that they were going to put out whatever lies or propaganda or conspiracy theories they wanted to, and people died. At some point in time, we have to evaluate what is factual, and I know that facts hurt y'all, and I just wish we could get on the same page, but we do know during the presidential election that the president would not go and participate in anything if fact-checking was going to be a part of it.
Now the GOP keeps screaming about censorship and free speech, acting like we're living in some dystopian version of Russia, just because media outlets and some social media platforms fact-check their blatant lies. Newsflash, fact-checking isn't censorship. It's literally protecting people from dangerous misinformation. But the same party crying about censorship is also the one banning books, restricting teachers from discussing history, and trying to police what corporations and journalists can say. Make it make sense. And there's COVID. Jasmine hits them hard on this one. Over 1 million Americans died on Trump's watch, while he and his allies called it a hoax, spread conspiracy theories, and downplayed basic science. And now, Republicans are mad that social media tried to prevent more deaths by flagging misinformation. The GOP was literally pushing junk science while actual experts were being just silenced.
Because he didn't want to be fact-checked. We know that the vice president got upset in his vice presidential debate when he was fact-checked. It used to be a time in this country that we as members of Congress or elected officials thought that it was okay to just tell the truth. Instead, we're pushing conspiracy theories, and some of them are killing people. It's the same thing that we have coming out of Doge. It's the reason that people are dying. It's the reason that farmers are losing their farms, because we continue to peddle conspiracy theories. It is time for us to say, Mr. President, guess what? Russia invaded Ukraine. Can we at least agree on that one? Facts matter. Y'all, this is literally potentially putting us into an international crisis. We may be heading towards the next world war because we have a president that wants to pal around with Putin and wants to do everything to make him feel good, including lying about who invaded who. Mr. Chair, I got a minute left, but I really want to yield to any of my colleagues and ask them if they will say today, very basically, that when it came down to the war in Ukraine, that it was not Ukraine that invaded Russia, it was the other way around. Is there anybody in here that has enough courage to say that Russia invaded Ukraine?
You can have my time.
And this is yet the problem. This is the problem. That is not infringing upon free speech.
Will the gentlelady yield?
I will yield to the rank.
Thank you, Ms. Crockett. To be clear, your challenge, I think, was across the aisle, because I think every member on your side of the aisle agrees with the obvious fact that Vladimir Putin ordered the filthy, bloody, imperialistic invasion of Ukraine. And in fact, at the time, Donald Trump as president never denied it. In fact, he praised it. He said it was, quote, an act of genius when Putin ordered the invasion of Ukraine. So I would hope some of our colleagues would consent to at least that historical point, since we think history is so important. There are people who want to relive that in our oversight report.
Jasmine goes straight for the throat on the GOP's conspiracy peddling. And let's be real, she's right. Misinformation kills, whether it's Doge propaganda, COVID lies, or election denialism. The GOP's obsession with alternative facts has had a real consequence. People lost their lives, farmers lost their land, and now, as Jasmine pointed out, we could be on the brink of a global crisis. All because Trump and his allies keep playing footsie with Vladimir Putin. And speaking of Putin, this was the most pathetic part. Jasmine directly asked Republicans a simple question. Can any of you say that Russia invaded Ukraine? Crickets. Absolute silence. Because they know admitting that would go against their whole MAGA, pro-Trump, pro-Putin talking points. Meanwhile, we have Trump literally praising Putin's invasion as genius. Imagine bending over backwards this hard to defend a foreign dictator just to avoid contradicting your cult leader.
And therein lies the problem.
The time of the gentlelady has expired. The gentleman from California is recognized.
I'd yield to the chairman.
I just wanted to make a point. We've talked, gentlelady, previous speaker talked about factual information. We've talked about fact-checking. Fact-checking. You know what fact-checking is truly supposed to be in this country? The First Amendment. Not some expert who can sit on and look at posts and tweets and different things and say, oh, that's not factual, take it down. That's not how it works. Fact-checking is the First Amendment. Someone says something stupid, and that happens every day in this Congress. Someone says something crazy. Someone says something that's not quite true, not quite accurate. You know what the fact-check is? Someone says something else, and you have debate. That's what we do in this committee every day. And this is the committee who's supposed to protect that fundamental fact. Real fact-checking is the First Amendment. Our Supreme Court has been clear about that. You don't like certain speech, the best speech for wrong speech is more speech. The best speech for false speech is true speech. That's how it works. You have a debate, and you trust we, the people, to figure it out, not some expert who's going to fact-check every tweet, every post, and we saw this in the Biden administration. We're seeing it in Europe now. We're seeing it in Brazil. That was the first bill we dealt with from the gentleman from California, his good legislation that we all agreed on. We're going to work on and put a good bill on the floor. So that's the key. That's what and we know it happened because, again, we had the guy who runs one of the biggest companies in the world, most successful tech companies in the world, tell us it happened. We had on the third day of the Biden administration an email from the White House to Twitter saying, take down this tweet ASAP. The government telling a business to take down a tweet, and the tweet, ironically, was from RFK Jr., who was going to be running for president against the guy in the White House. So he was saying, take down the speech of my opponent. That's not how it's supposed to work in this country. That's what we're concerned about. That's why it's in our oversight plan. And if you want additional things to look at, again, put them in your viewpoints. We're happy to accept them. We'll take everything Mr. Raskin has said today, everything the gentlelady from Texas has said today. We'll take everything the Democrats said. You want to put all that in your plan? Put it in your plan. That's fine. That's how it works. But no, that's not good enough. That's not good enough.
It's honestly funny how he tries to redefine fact-checking, claiming that the First Amendment is the real fact-checker. That's right, he's basically saying that if someone spreads lies, the solution isn't to correct it with verified information, but to just let people debate it out. This is honestly absurd. The First Amendment protects your right to say things. It doesn't protect you from consequences when you lie or spread harmful misinformation. And let's be clear, the issue isn't just opinions being debated. It's elected officials and public figures spreading outright falsehoods about elections, public health, and national security. Letting misinformation run wild doesn't make a stronger democracy. It just creates absolute chaos, which we are seeing today. The chairman's argument is just another GOP distraction, pretending fact-checking is censorship while ignoring the real dangers of misinformation. Jasmine Crockett was right. Trump and his allies have spread lies and have had serious consequences. Instead of taking responsibility, they're playing victim while defending their own disinformation machine. Classic hypocrisy. But do you know who else is a hypocrite? Biased media outlets. Are you getting tired of getting half the story from biased news sources? One outlet says one thing and another says the complete opposite. How are you supposed to know what's actually true? That's where ground news comes in. It lets you compare how different media outlets, left, right, and center are covering the same story. So you can see the full picture instead of just the echo chamber. And here's the best part. Click the link in the description and get 40% off the Vantage tier, which gives you even deeper insights into media bias and political trends. Stay informed, think for yourself, and check out Ground News in the description down below.